Success is a huge word, Andy. Different for everybody. What does it mean to you?
Well, I think there's a lot of talented people out there, and I think we all know people who have incredible talent and incredible ability, but they, from our eyes anyway, they never seem to achieve their full potential. And I'm fascinated why. I want to help people to become the best version of them. I don't know why that's the case, but I just feel very passionate and I come alive, like I'm doing now, when I can help someone to achieve their potential. If I look at my life, I've spent my life serving others, if you will. Personal training is very much about helping other people. But coming back to this idea of success, I think the first thing that people have to do is understand that success is in no way linked to academic ability or previously handed down wealth or good schooling or the right parents. It just isn't. It just isn't. There's just so many examples of people who have had none of those 4 or 5 prerequisites. And I don't dispute they can help. I don't dispute that whatsoever. But I think what I'm getting at is there is a will. There is a will and an intention that the person has to have within themselves that will not work. Everything else could be present, but it will not work if that one key ingredient is missing.
So it's a bit like an X factor almost. And how does somebody know if they've kind of got it or they haven't got it? Or how do you know if you can spot it in people and they haven't spotted it for themselves or they can't feel it?
Everybody has it. It's just whether they're in the right place or not. If they're in the right place with the line of work they're doing, with their purpose, if they're in the right place. Everyone has it. We're all born with it. We're all the same, essentially. All humans are really the same. And the more you understand yourself, the more you understand other people because of that fact. I think the more pertinent question is why people don't tap into it and don't achieve success. And it's got more to do with the fears. Many authors talk about us being in this golden age where we have social media. We can connect with anyone, anywhere, anytime in the world if we want to. We have such rich information on the internet that we can access within seconds. And there's never been an easier time and a more advantageous time to launch a business, for example, or to do something you want to do. So we ask ourselves, well, why aren't we doing it? Why aren't more people successful? Why is the gap between the rich and poor ever expanding? What's happening there if that is the case? And I think it's down to fear of rejection, fear of being shot at, because I think as much as social media opens up great opportunities to connect and to network and to put your products out there, there's also a greater propensity to be slandered, trolled, shot at, attacked. And I think no one wants to feel that way. Nobody wants to feel rejected or disowned. So it's probably safer and more comfortable just not to put yourself out there.
It's not putting your head above the parapet, isn't it? And before we move on to what this would naturally lead into in terms of the other side of success, and what you were talking about there is fear of it, what would you say if there was at all a formula for success?
I live by a proverb that fits quite well with this. Happiness may not always be action, but there's no action without happiness. So getting up in the morning, 5 a.m. starts, in the cold, in the dark, doesn't sound like many people's idea of happiness, but it takes that to get things moving. So behind success, you've always got action. The best thing you can do is the right thing. The next best thing you can do is the wrong thing. You might argue that's the best thing because there is learning in doing the wrong thing. That's where all your learnings are, in perceived failure, not the success. And the worst thing you can do is nothing. So you will not get any success with inactivity. The other component is paying the price. There'll always be a price to pay. You don't have to risk it all, but you have to put something on the line. You have to take in what you perceive at that point in time a gamble. If I look back now, I know that none of the business risks I took were actually risks. At the time, they felt like a risk because I didn't know any better. I didn't have the awareness. I didn't have the learnings and experience. But while I was in it, it did feel like a risk. So if you think about that for a second, if you can try to come to terms with the fact that it's not really a risk, what's the worst that's going to happen? You probably open yourself up for more success because you're going to take more action.